Let's get to Rick in Virginia Beach. Rick, you're on the air.
Hey, good morning, John. Sorry about calling your cell phone. Sure, he wasn't listening to what I was asking her.
That's okay.
Just wanted to say that being someone who has been falsely accused of sexual assault, being in that situation it's definitely like life-changing. And you are definitely guilty until proven innocent. Now, in my situation, personally, like being active duty military, it was a career ender, and it was definitely a very, very hard situation going through it. But everyone, including everyone that I worked for and everything, like there was no anonymity to it. First off, and secondly, like everyone was like definitely treated me differently, started distancing themselves, making sure that there was no that they weren't involved into the situation. Even remotely close. And it took even downright to the JAG lawyer that was appointed to me, who was already like, hey, you're dead in the water, let's do a plea deal and this whole other thing. I'm like, for what? I didn't do anything wrong. And it took getting a civilian attorney to come in and really like fight and defend like my word, because that's really what it was, one person's word against mine. And it was definitely difficult, but I feel for this guy. But at the same time, the burden of proof has to come from the government, from the prosecutors. And even though this is outside of the statute of limitations, the unfortunate part about this is that he is being judged in the public eye, and there's no way to litigate this so that he's actually fully exonerated. And unfortunately, in the public eye, he's doomed from here on out.
Rick, in your situation, were you falsely accused?
I was.
And did you beat it?
I was falsely.
Were you acquitted?
Sorry?
Were you acquitted?
No, actually, in fact, it never made it to court-martial. It stopped in the Article 32 hearing, which was a pretrial. And at that point, once my civilian lawyer, because my military JAG didn't even actually show up for the hearing, they realized that they had no case and that things were being falsified, and nothing was adding up. So in fact, the government withdrew all charges, dropped all charges, and recommended that no punitive like punishment would come to me. So it was dropped. I mean, I was facing felony charges. Because the way that they changed the situation, they changed it to where it was like a predatory act as opposed to just a simple mistake, and it's crazy. And with the fact that Congress has been pushing so hard for people to come forward and people to go ahead and report it, sexual assault is definitely in everyone's mind frame. Like the whole military came to a pause to talk about it and to make sure it happens. And granted, things do happen. However, like my lawyer was telling me that out of 98% of all cases that go up in the military result in a conviction. However, 52% of cases afterwards, the accuser recants their story and says either that they made it up or that it was the wrong person that they were talking about. So, I mean, the numbers are ridiculous when you actually look at it, but nobody wants to talk about it. And at the same time, you can't shame the accusers because they want them to be comfortable to come out and to start speaking about it, and it causes people to where, okay, now that they're a little bit more comfortable, yes, some time has passed, but it makes it more and more difficult because the longer time goes, the harder it is to remember it. I mean, when I'm sitting there inside of like inside of NCIS's office trying to remember what happened a year ago when I was being questioned about it, it made it like very, very difficult. You know, but I mean, 30, 40 years down the road, that's almost impossible. So it's hard because you can't shame the person. And like your previous caller said, well, everyone should get a lie detector test and stuff. And it's, first off, that's admissible, but you can't necessarily do that to the victim because there are people who are actual victims of sexual assault. So they want to make sure that they feel safe coming forward. So it makes it really hard with that type of situation. But then everyone sides with the person who's crying wolf. And my best friend was about to be accused of sexual assault because the person he was sleeping with, he was an illicit guy sleeping with an officer, and she's like, if you tell somebody, I'm going to say that it's sexual assault, your whole life's over, and you're going to jail. He unfortunately took his life over it because he couldn't deal with it. And if it wasn't for that situation and knowing like what he did, like I don't know if I would have been able to go through it. Like I'm sorry, like I'm almost coming to tears right now because like it's so hard and it's such a hard situation to deal with when someone's like putting your entire reputation, your entire life on the line. And I have 3 boys. I mean, I was like up front to where if I would have been convicted, I never would have been able to go to their school to pick them up. I would have had to have registered as a sex offender. I mean, I would like be completely cut out of their lives. Why? Because of someone else's lie? That's absolutely ridiculous. And it's hard. It's hard being on this side of it. And unfortunately, like my friend that coupled up with the PTSD and then all this, like his only option was to end his own life.
Mm-hmm.
I was fortunate that my wife was able to step up, support me, find me one of the best civilian lawyers that money can buy, and we fought it. And we're one of the very, very few people who actually won. But I mean, luckily there was people of reason that were actually listening to the ridiculousness that was going on. So it's definitely a sticky situation. It's really, really hard to go through. But being someone who's been accused on the other side of it, I am no way defending what other people are doing. However, false accusations fly all the time.
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you for sharing that, Rick. And I'm sorry for what you and your family went through. And look, I commend your courage for standing up to it, not playing something out that was false, and your family sticking by you. And, you know, it turned out. But as you said, look what you went through. Cost a lot of money, I'm sure. Destroyed your military career, and you did nothing wrong. And it's an example of just being falsely accused. I mean, I was on CNN the other night, and we were having this debate. And I guess it was Don Lemon and Joe Madison. And I said, you know, you're all convicting this guy based on no evidence, and it could happen to anybody up here. I said, Don, it could happen
right
tomorrow, Don. Somebody can accuse Don Lemon of assaulting them, and you would have absolutely no defense because the media would jump on it like crazy. I mean, is that really the society that we're headed towards now? And again,
and unfortunately it is.
Right.
And the hard part is, regardless of who it is, up until they're the ones that are being accused, they will never understand how it is because they're standing on their moral high ground.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden, once they're put in that situation, then they see the injustice about it. Then they want to fight against it.
Mm-hmm.
But like when it comes to my career personally, like I was very, very fortunate that the one person, which was my immediate boss, that was like, okay, I understand what's going on. He helped to shelter me a little bit, but I mean, I'm able to recover. But it's definitely something. It's a dark portion of my career that I can't talk about, and I can't say anything about, especially because of my profession.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so it makes it really hard, and it makes it difficult because that shadow is always looming over you,
mm-hmm.
and it's going to be there.
Rick, I really appreciate your sharing that with me and Mike and our audience. Thank you so much. Great insight, and I'm sorry for what you went through, Rick. All right? Hang in there.